You have been supplied with a false idol to stop you tearing down this corrupt city.
We've all been there, right? Sometimes it just makes sense to lie to people, you know, for their own good. Sometimes people just don't know what's best for them. And no matter how many convincing arguments you give, sometimes some people just don't seem to be able to understand reason. In such cases, I guess, lying could be considered moral. If you recognize this trail of thoughts, we need to have a talk. Plato once argued that societies need myths, illusions, what he called noble lies, to function. Lies told by elites to keep order, to unify people under a common story. Now, Christopher Nolan took this ancient idea and dropped it right in the middle of Gotham. But in The Dark Knight Rises, that lie collapses, and the fallout nearly destroys the entire city. In The Dark Knight, Batman and Gordon decide not only to omit the truth, but to present a false reality. They blame Batman for Harvey Dent's crimes, turning Dent into a symbol of incorruptible justice. The logic? Well, if Gotham believes in Dent, it will have hope, law, order, safety. This is the noble lie in action, a myth told to preserve the system. But here's the problem. It's not just a lie, it's a foundational lie. They're building peace on something fragile, and morality based on deception is bound to crack under pressure, because no illusion, no myth can stand the test of reality. From a psychological standpoint, the message portrayed in the movie is that one must confront reality. As an individual, before I can actually change my own circumstances, to have any chance of improving myself, I have to first face who I really am. What are my actual strengths? What are my actual weaknesses? Who am I exactly? Instead of hiding from myself, I need to become familiar with everything that is dark within me. I have to integrate my shadow. In The Dark Knight Rises, that pressure, of course, comes in the form of Bane. He exposes the lie. Dent was a murderer, the Dent Act was based on fiction, and the so-called heroes, well, they were deceivers. Gotham turns on itself. Cops lose moral legitimacy, the courts collapse, order becomes mob rule because the foundation was a fraud. And Bane, well, he simply lit the match. Now, thinkers like Lysander Spooner argued that the state relies on a fiction of consent by their subjects. When that fiction is revealed, the state loses its moral claim to authority, and that is exactly what happens here. Gotham, like any other society built on a lie, implodes the moment the truth comes out. Again, from a psychological, from a Jungian standpoint, Bane symbolizes the shadow, the dark, unconscious part of the psyche, everything we repress, deny, or refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. Bane is the literal embodiment of not only Gotham's, but Bruce Wayne's repressed but unavoidable truth. Symbolically speaking, Gotham repressed the truth about Harvey Dent's fall. Bruce himself repressed his trauma, his guilt, and his fear of failure. And we see this overall pattern in all three of Nolan's Batman movies. The fate of Gotham mirrors that of Bruce Wayne's psyche. Bane symbolizes what happens when the shadow is ignored for too long. He turns up, exposing everything that's been buried, all the lies and deceptions. He doesn't just destroy things in a physical sense. He reveals what's been hidden and repressed psychologically. And of course, going back to a political, philosophical perspective, when building peace, stability, and freedom on a false and weak foundation, well, peace, stability, and freedom are all at best going to remain temporary. When you do that, even if you think you're doing it for the right reasons, you open up the door for totalitarian forces ready to take advantage of the doubt and moral conflict that arises when the false portrayal of reality is suddenly revealed. And here the lie doesn't just hurt Gotham, it hurts Bruce Wayne. Between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, he disappears for 8 years, broken. Alfred, the voice of realism and honesty, only lies to Bruce one single time, loses his friendship with Bruce and leaves him. Gordon, of course, drowns in guilt. In trying to preserve morality, in trying to create some kind of system based on deception, they failed to base freedom and stability on a solid foundation. They failed to understand how the darkness they originally tried to destroy was one which was already based on lies and corruption. And in their desperation and perhaps moral arrogance, they sought to create their own system, their own society, based on a new lie, as if that would lead to any other or better result. Ayn Rand warned that evading reality to preserve ideals turns people into slaves of contradiction. The more you lie to protect the greater good, the more fragile the good becomes. Bruce, to some extent, reclaims truth. For instance, he tells Gordon the truth about his identity. He gives the city a symbol again, but this time it's more grounded in truth. Bruce Wayne may have survived, but the Batman is destroyed, sacrificed for the sake of the city. This time Gotham also survives because of a noble myth, but this time it's related to real action, real courage. Bruce Wayne rises from the pit, not when he ultimately destroys his own mind and continues further down the path of hiding away his own trauma and his own fear, something which he has of course been doing since the death of his parents, but rather when he accepts fear as an integral part of his mind, that fear is there for a reason. When he integrates fear, in this case when he integrates his shadow, he becomes able to rise from the pit, which of course serves as a symbol of him growing as a human being and putting his trauma behind him. And after having climbed the pit, Bruce throwing the rope back into the pit also serves as a powerful symbol, and it, ironically enough, somewhat relates to Plato's cave analogy. And all of this is what ultimately allows Bruce to continue his life. So The Dark Knight Rises isn't just about Bruce rising from the pit in a physical sense. It's about rejecting comforting lies and facing the truth, no matter what. Both psychologically on the individual level, or as an individual seeking a society where freedom is maximized. As libertarians, we cannot base such societal structures on lies, myths, or false displays of reality. We cannot base it on moral systems such as utilitarianism, a moral framework which might allow us to convince a lot of people fast, but which might just as quickly be used as justifications for oppression. Utilitarian systems are ultimately based on the idea that once we know what maximizes overall happiness, then we are also in a position to make the trade-offs, to sacrifice whatever few rights, freedoms, individuals that stand in the way of our utilitarian goals. Plato believed that myths were necessary. When people don't understand what is best for them, telling a lie is moral. But as libertarians, as people who value freedom, we have to recognize that such a path is dangerous. The road to maximizing freedom, as well as establishing and maintaining a healthy mind, lies in truth. Painful truth, maybe, sometimes. But what Nolan's symbolism tells us is that lies will burn your city down. It will destroy your mind. It will keep you from rising as a human being. And the noble lie, however tempting the idea might be for the intelligent and arrogant mind, the idea that we don't have to live according to reality, that the truth doesn't really matter, serves as a vital component in all totalitarian thought.